Good afternoon. I'm sorry, I'm late for 2 minutes. Happy Friday. Happy Friday long weekend. I'm sure some of you will appreciate that extra day. Hi, John. Okay, so we do have someone today who's a moderator and helping us captioning our session. And so if you see someone by John, that is our new guest. Should have no impact on anybody in the class. So welcome, and I hope you have plans for the weekend. If not, sometimes to just be home, do nothing is okay too. Today we're going to talk about navigations. So we are going to talk about navigations, and we don't think of navigation as part of information architecture, but nowadays it's so difficult to disconnect navigation, information architecture from navigation, from user experience. But at the end of the day, you're defining some major pieces or components of the experience when it comes to user experience. So it is all relevant. And what you will do is you will learn how do I carry over my beautiful work that I did for information architecture, all of the work that you did for chord sorting up to this point, and then the beautiful diagrams that you've done. This is very, very important work. It's the foundation. So now you're going to learn how do I take the work and the insight that I have in my eye diagram, and then how do I move it to navigations? So very, very important, right? So you've done very good so far. On this point, now we have to make sure that we learn on how do we make sure that we don't lose anything that we've done, and how do we carry it over into the experience. When you think of this, until this point, what you've done, users don't see it. They don't see the information architecture, but the navigation is going to be part of the experience. It's part of what they see. So the choices that you will make now will impact them. So because this is how you will get to the content. So you will make decisions about where you're going to put these elements that you have included into your information architecture. So now you're going to make choices of where do I put these elements for people to be able to have access and gain access to my content. And then you're going to learn which elements do I put on each of the navigations as well. So big decisions. And you will never go wrong if you do remember to always think about the business goals, the user goals, and then go back to your your information architecture, and then making choices. So you'll be making choices about important choices. So today we're going to learn about what are some of the common patterns that we see when we do navigations. What are some of the navigations that we see typically for desktop and then for mobile as well. And then what do we, how do we decide on which element to put in place on the navigation? There is not one recipe, and I've been saying that all along. There are multiple ways, multiple type of navigations out there. You can put any elements on any navigations, but it will be as good as it's supporting the business goals or it's supporting your the user goals as well. So that's really, really key. You're going to have a lab this week again for Nightwood Theater, and then there's an assignment for navigation that will be for the zoo. So you're going to take whatever you did for eye diagram for Nightwood, and now you're going to move it into navigation. You're going to be able to practice. I'm going to give feedback. Then you're going to take that feedback. You're going to incorporate it into your assignment for navigation. So make sure you're aware of the dates for these assignments as well. But you'll have a chance. And today I will do my best to give you time to work as well on the lab. I do know that you are appreciative of being able to do some work, and we're even going to do a little class exercises, some patterns together as well. So, and then we'll be going on into the long weekend. So that's the plan. Before we do so, are there any questions about anything or anything about the material, the content, or the lab? I've marked all the labs. I've marked all of the eye diagram labs. I have not had a chance to mark the assignment for chord sorting, but I wanted to give you feedback about the lab for the diagram as well, so that you're going to be able to use your eye diagram and move into the navigation lab as well. It was really, really good. I was really happy with the lab, what I have seen. I've added a lot of comments. So let me just add to you, share with you. I've added a lot of comments to the lab. So let me just go to week 4. So this morning, I've actually marked all of the lab assignment this morning. So I'm just going to go through over. Okay, so extension. So so for the lab extensions, or is it for the assignment extensions, Hannah? Okay, for lab number 5, let's see. When is lab number 5 due? So we are in week 5, lab number 5. And I said the date. Okay, lab number 5. So I said the due date was Monday. Okay, so yes, it's a long weekend. When would we like me to extend to? Remember that I will need some time to mark so that you get feedback for your assignment. The assignment is due for the lab nav assignment. That assignment is due on the Tuesday, October 19th. I've also, I think, changed that date. I think I've changed one of the date to the Tuesday so that you have more time. I was afraid that you wouldn't be getting enough time. Wednesday the 13th? Okay, so I will change the lab to Wednesday the 13th, but that will give me not as much time to give feedback so that you can incorporate the feedback into the assignment. That's the only bit of a concern. Can we do Tuesday instead? I'm going to change to Tuesday for this week's lab. So for the lab, try not to spend more than an hour or an hour and a half. The goal is you want to give me enough to get insights, relevant insight to guide you for your assignment. That's the ultimate goal. Don't spend more than an hour or an hour and a half on the lab for this week. That would be my advice, but just do enough so that I can give you feedback on the choices that you've made. So I've changed it to Tuesday. So if you submit it ahead of time, you can, but the lab for this week is now on Tuesday of next week, the lab. Perfect. Okay, good. So the lab will be about navigation for Nightwood. So you're gonna look at applying what you've learned today. In fact, some of you may be able to do the lab today. If you have already done use Adobe for prototyping in a lab, it will be easier for you. But if you want to give me sketches as well, I'm okay with sketches. But you will need to do a prototype for the actual assignment. But if you want to do sketches of your navigation for the lab, it's okay. Then you can save time and I can give you feedback. But you have to give me sketches with annotation so that I can see what happens with behavior for a specific menu, if there's rollover or not. We're going to talk about that. But for the lab, you can give me a sketch of your navigation for Nightwood. But for the assignment, you'll have to give me a prototype. So that will make it easier too for you. So we are in navigation and we're in week 5. We have this week, next week, and 2 more weeks after this week left together. And then we are going to be with the other teacher as well. So you're going to be with Asma, and you're going to love Asma. She's great. We have a lot of readings this week. So we have Alan Cooper. He talks about navigation. It's PDF. And then we have Dan Brown for Principles of Information Architecture. And then I have also a PDF, an extra PDF that talks about navigation. I took this from another class, from another professor who taught information architecture. He just talks about navigation in a different way, a different manner. I think it's good for you to see differences, but you'll see that it's converging. Then I have a few readings that are available on the internet as well. I know it's a lot. It seems to be a lot of reading, but the more you read, the better, and the better you will be. Then I had some articles about the Hamburger Menu. So there's a lot of controversy about the Hamburger Menu when it comes to responsive or mobile responsive, but I will say it's really difficult not to have a burger menu on a mobile application. But so I have some readings that talks about why they're good and why they're not good. when they are absolutely not a good choice is you will see some sites use the burger. They use actually Burger Menu, the Hamburger Menu on the desktop version. Zara is a very good example of them. So let me just share Zara's website. I think we've already looked at Zara together. I kind of took it apart. If not in this class, in many other classes. You can notice they're using the burger menu. So Zara is using the burger menu on the desktop version. So let's think back to some of our heuristic principles that we've learned in class in usability testing. But these usability principles are very relevant when it comes to navigation too. So why do we think, what is the principle? When we think of Zara, if you see Zara has the burger menu on the left, right? On the top left corner, you can't see it because it's kind of hidden by the magnifier on Blackboard. So you may want to go to Zara's website and see the burger menu. I'm going to paste in Zara in the chat so you can see by yourself. They use the burger menu to the left. Why is the burger menu not a good choice on desktop? And try to think about what is you think. Which the heuristic evaluation principle is the most violated by using the burger on a desktop like Zara? I know we go back to a few weeks ago. What are some of our heuristic principles? Consistency of standards. Yes, so it's violating consistency of standard, Maria. Absolutely. Which other principle do you think it's actually playing against? They're hiding. What happens with a burger menu? It's actually hiding recognitions over recall. Absolutely, Nathan. Bingo. Yes, AQ. So it's recognitions. We're hiding. So they're doing recall. You're forcing people. It's so consistency and standard. It's not a standard on desktop. It's forcing people to remember, and it's also it's really impairing findability. Right? It's better to show on screen. So Zara is hiding a lot of information under a menu. Things like woman, men, kids, beauty, career, right? Why not have these elements here next to the logo, in the middle, next to Zara to the right above these images consistently, and then also be able to better leverage the footer navigation. So we're kind of looking at patterns right now. This is the footer navigation. What's on the footer navigation? What do we see on the footer navigation? I know it's very tiny, right? Yeah, sitemaps. Good point, Hannah. There's no sitemap, but I don't know that a lot of sites are still using sitemap. But absolutely, there's no sitemap. What do we see on the footer navigation when it comes to Zara? We're saying what? We're saying sign up for newsletter, so that's okay. But I don't know that sign up for newsletter is consistent. I don't know if it's on all pages. So let's see. It's not on all pages. So right now, from the home page, the footer navigation has TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and then they have cookie settings, privacy, terms of use. I will say those are not conventional. It sounds like there's a set of links that they're missing on their footer navigation. Things like career, about us, email us, contact us, return and exchange, and policies, right? You will see these as almost patterns on footer navigation that they're not. But what's funny, when you click on help for Zara, this is now their footer navigation. So if we go back to our heuristic evaluation, what is violated? There are a few here. So one of them we've already listed above. Maria said consistency of standard, right? So the page, a footer navigation needs to be consistent on all pages. So they're not consistent. So they're violating consistency. Yes, which other principles do we think that they're violating? So let's say that I want to go to find About Us, but I cannot, there's no About Us on the footer navigation on the homepage. Right? Alternative flexibility and control, right? Or flexibility of use is also violated. I don't have flexibility to access to About Us, but except when I go to the rollover menu. So the other ones that they're forcing here what they're doing good now is they're doing recognition. They're showing on screen, but they're not consistent. So, but what they're showing though, I will say is consistent with what you will see on a lot of the footer navigation. What really they should do is they should have this as their footer navigation on all pages, but they're not. So, but they're using the menu, the burger menu, which is not good. So in-class exercise, and then I have the lesson slide. So you're going to find in-class exercise, which we will do in class very soon. And then you'll find the lesson slides for today. And then in the topics of the lesson slide, you will see that we're talking about navigation best practices. We're going to talk about, sorry, let me just reshare my computer. Zoom is much better from a point of view of sharing. In Zoom, you can just share, and when you switch from different screen, you're sharing it. I haven't yet found how I do that on Blackboard. So if someone does know how to, I'll be more than happy, but I always have to remind myself to be on focus of the screen. You're going to see main, and the main, you're going to hear main, secondary, tertiary navigation. There is not one standard of calling them all. You just have to pick one that you're consistent with. Main, I use the main navigation. I will say main navigation, but you may hear the primary navigation, main navigation. You're going to hear maybe secondary navigation, or you may hear utility navigation as well, or you may hear tertiary or footer navigation. As long as you're consistent within your own way of how you're going to call the navigation in your assignment or your lab, so that me as a client, I can understand, this is all good. But you will have a main top navigation. You may hear top navigation, footer navigation. I think top navigation and footer, we already see top, footer. I think they're suggesting placement. And then utility, accessory. So utility, accessory is another one. This is where usually you will see your sign in, your login, your search bar, right? Top will be at the top. But you still see sites that use left navigation. So they don't necessarily use the top navigation, they use left. But every site, most site has a footer navigation. So these are examples of pattern. Then I'm going to have a video with you. How do we move from IA to navigation? So now is the time to think about breadth and depth, to think about, I've been saying all along, your site information architecture does not dictate or does not lock you in what will be on your top or your main or your secondary or your footer navigation. You will be able to decide which box from my IA diagram do I put on the top, do I put on the utility, do I put on the footer navigation based on your business objectives. This is what we will learn in the video. So I will say you did all very good in your IA diagram with the lab. No one has shown or said there will be a navigation. Actually, your most diagrams were all very good. I could clearly see the hierarchy, and then I could really understand the labels, and I think you made good choices. But I did have share some feedback, and I will probably, I will say, please look at the feedback that I have provided. See how you can incorporate the feedback into your, maybe you want to make a revisions to your IA before you do your navigation. So if you could, that will be even better. And I will say absolutely for your assignment, please see if you can incorporate my feedback into your assignment. So you could make some changes to your IA based on the feedback I give you. And then you have, that means you'll have a super good navigation as well. So please do look at the feedback on week 4. And then you're going to find the recording, the class recording as well. Are there any questions about this week's content or anything about the structure? Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up breakout sessions, breakout rooms. And here's what we're going to do in the breakout rooms. what I like for you in your respective groups, so with your teams that you're working on the different projects, so IKEA, Nintendo, your teams, I'm going to allow you to go and move in the rooms and find your teams. I want you to explore and identify navigation patterns for desktop and mobile. So I'm going to desktop and mobile. And then you can look at one site, two sites, three sites. You can do same industry, different industry. I would in fact encourage you to look at maybe different industries so that you have a feel for what is consistent across different industry that consumer are now expecting. That's really the goal. Is a pattern is what people have like, learned to expect to find in places. So pay attention to placement or pay attention to what kind of, do they have a navigation? Obviously they all should. Where is the navigation? Is there a top navigation or is there a left navigation? What's on the top navigation? Like, are there products? Are you going to see that there are products? Is there a search bar? You may want to know where is the search bar. Is there a utility or a secondary navigation? And then is there a footer navigation? And what do you typically see on the footer navigation? So I'd like for you to do this. So placement, where? How do you navigate to? So maybe you want to click also. That's very important. And I will need to see this definitely in the assignment. I want you to click on one section and then see what happens to the navigation as well. So click is when we browse, right? So I say pay attention to the browsing. So when I click, what happens? You may want to look at the search. Is there a search and how is search supported? And then I teach this course in two classes. I have two classes for this course. And one of them is over 7 weeks. So I put a note that talks about we will cover, but this doesn't apply to us. We're not going to do more search. Search is it. And then click on one item and then see what happens to the navigation. Does it stay? And then do we now see L2? Do we see L3? Do we have a breadcrumb? So I'd like for you to start paying attention. Make note of what you notice and then pre-prepared to share with the class. So, excuse me. So you're going to do this in your teams in breakouts. I will come and visit as well. And then you can do on your own if you want initially, or you can do as a team and then you discuss it. And then I say maybe 15 to 20 minutes, I'm going to bring everybody back in and then we're going to discuss what we saw and do for desktop and then also do for mobile. You all know, right, how to quickly see how the mobile is, how the responsive website looks like from a mobile point of view. You all know how to do, right? By minimizing your screen. Okay, good. Minimize your screen and then you'll see. So that's responsive. And your assignment, your lab, the lab, if you want, you can do the lab can just be desktop. But you will have, and you could do desktop or you could do just mobile if you want. You could pick one or the other. But the assignment has to have desktop and responsive as well. Are there any questions about what we need to do? Gonna have to remove this little note. So you do want to pay attention to the kind of maybe elements they put on their navigation as well. Do they put products? Do they put servicing? Do they put about us? Do they put like, you may want to just pay a quick attention. So I'm allowing you to switch to shuffle in rooms. And then John, you will be put into, or John, you're still staying with me in the room, but you probably want to move over with Hannah. And then I will come and visit. So let's do 15, 20 minutes. Are we good? Pay attention to patterns. Pay attention to what you see. And you may want to think about your heuristic, right? When you make choices about if you think something is good or something is bad, you may just go back to your heuristic and guide you and help you to justify why you think it's good or bad. Okay, so why includes moderator and group assignments? No, random. allow people to switch, start,